Charlemagne, also known as Charles the Great or Carolus Magnus, was born around April 2nd, 747, in what is now Belgium or France. He was the son of Pepin the Short, the king of the Franks and Bertrada of Leon, and was raised in a time when the Frankish kingdom was already a dominant power in Europe. After his father's death in 768, Charlemagne and his brother Carloman inherited the Frankish kingdom, with Charlemagne ruling the larger portion. Their rule was not without tension, and Carloman's untimely death in 771 allowed Charlemagne to become the sole ruler of the Franks. Charlemagne is best known for his expansion of the Frankish Empire, which he transformed into the Carolingian Empire. He led numerous military campaigns that extended his empire across much of Western Europe, including modern-day France, Germany, the Low Countries, Switzerland, and parts of Italy and Spain. His conquests were instrumental in the unification of Western Europe after the fall of the Western Roman Empire. One of his most significant campaigns was the Saxon Wars, which lasted over 30 years and ultimately resulted in the forced Christianization of the Saxons, a Germanic tribe that had resisted conversion. Throughout his reign, Charlemagne was committed to the idea of a united Christian Europe. In 800, Charlemagne was crowned Emperor of the Romans by Pope Leo III, a title that gave him significant authority and prestige. This event marked the foundation of what would become known as the Holy Roman Empire, a political entity that would persist in various forms for nearly 1,000 years. The coronation was not just a religious act, but also a political statement, symbolizing the fusion of the Roman legacy with the Christian faith and Charlemagne's role as a protector of the church. Charlemagne's reign was also marked by a revival of learning and culture known as the Carolingian Renaissance. He established a system of local administration that helped maintain control over his vast empire and sought to promote education, literacy, and the arts. Charlemagne encouraged the use of the Carolingian minuscule script, a clear and legible form of writing that would later influence the development of modern European scripts. He also brought scholars from all over Europe to his court, including Alcuin of York, who played a key role in the educational reforms of the period. Charlemagne's leadership was also defined by his relationship with the church. He worked closely with the papacy to consolidate his power and to promote Christianity throughout his empire. The church's support helped legitimize his rule, and in return, Charlemagne supported the church's interests, including the enforcement of ecclesiastical laws and the establishment of monasteries and churches across the empire. His commitment to Christianity also extended to his personal life, as he was known for his devout faith and for making efforts to reform the clergy and church practices. In terms of governance, Charlemagne established a system of local rulers, known as counts, who governed regions on his behalf. To ensure they remained loyal, he conducted regular inspections of his empire and required them to send reports on the state of their territories. This system helped maintain order and fostered a sense of unity across his empire. Charlemagne was also instrumental in the development of a legal code that sought to regulate various aspects of life, from the administration of justice to the conduct of the clergy. Despite his military and administrative successes, Charlemagne faced several challenges during his reign, including internal family disputes. His succession plans were complicated by the fact that he had several wives and concubines, which resulted in a number of children, some of whom were vying for power after his death. Charlemagne divided his empire among his sons, but this division weakened the unity of the empire in the years following his death. Charlemagne died on January 28, 814, at the age of 66, and was buried in the Palatine Chapel at Aachen, which had been his favorite residence and the site of his coronation as emperor. After his death, his empire was divided among his 3 grandsons, though it eventually fragmented into smaller kingdoms. Charlemagne's legacy lived on through the Holy Roman Empire, which continued to carry his name, as well as through his influence on European culture, governance, and religion. Charlemagne's reign marked a turning point in European history. His empire was a precursor to modern Europe, and his efforts to unite Western Europe under Christianity laid the groundwork for the future development of the continent. He is remembered as one of the greatest monarchs of the medieval period, a figure who combined military prowess, administrative skill, and a deep commitment to Christianity. His legacy endures in the institutions and ideals that shaped Europe for centuries after his death. Charlemagne's influence extended far beyond his reign and the territories he ruled. His establishment of the Holy Roman Empire, although fragmented in the centuries following his death, became a symbol of the medieval vision of a unified Christian Europe. The title of emperor, initially conferred upon him by Pope Leo III, became a central concept in European political thought for centuries, even after the empire itself had splintered. Successive rulers sought to claim legitimacy by linking themselves to Charlemagne's legacy, while the idea of the Holy Roman Empire would persist as an enduring institution of power throughout the Middle Ages. In terms of cultural impact, Charlemagne's reign is often seen as a bridge between the classical world and the medieval era. The Carolingian Renaissance he helped foster paved the way for the later intellectual and artistic movements that would shape Europe. The revival of learning during his time had significant implications for the development of medieval European universities and the preservation of ancient texts. Monasteries under Charlemagne's patronage became centers of scholarship, helping to preserve the works of ancient Greek and Roman philosophers and scientists, as well as early Christian writings. Charlemagne's efforts to reform the Christian Church were also pivotal in shaping the ecclesiastical structure of medieval Europe. His close relationship with the papacy helped solidify the Church's influence over European rulers, with Charlemagne acting as a protector of the faith. His reforms within the clergy sought to improve the moral and educational standards of priests, and he worked to strengthen the role of the Church in governance, contributing to the eventual intertwining of religion and politics in medieval Europe. Moreover, Charlemagne's military prowess left a lasting mark on Europe's political landscape. His expansion of the Frankish Empire, though it came with considerable bloodshed, created a framework for the future geopolitical divisions of the continent. The boundaries of Charlemagne's empire, though not long-lasting in their unified form, would continue to shape the political and cultural divisions of Europe for generations. His campaigns against the Saxons, the Lombards, and the Avars, though violent, were part of a broader effort to consolidate Christian control over pagan regions, and they ultimately led to the Christianization of much of Central and Eastern Europe. Following his death, Charlemagne's empire quickly began to break apart under the weight of internal divisions. His sons and later his, Charlemagne also left a mark on European law, governance, and the evolution of feudalism. His issuance of capitularies, decrees that dealt with a wide range of administrative, legal, and ecclesiastical matters, played a role in shaping the legal traditions of medieval Europe. His centralization of power and establishment of local officials, such as counts and dukes to govern regions on his behalf, created a system of decentralized governance that would become a hallmark of medieval political structures. This system of governance provided a foundation for the rise of feudalism, a system where land was granted in exchange for military service and loyalty, a defining feature of medieval Europe. Though the physical empire that Charlemagne built disintegrated over time, his influence persisted through the centuries. Even as the political unity he created unraveled, the idea of a united Christian Europe remained a powerful political and cultural force. Rulers who came after him, such as Otto I of Germany, would seek to revive the concept of the Holy Roman Empire, attempting to continue Charlemagne's legacy of a Christian imperium that spanned much of Europe. In the modern era, Charlemagne is still considered a figure of immense importance in European history. His name is invoked in discussions about European unity, especially in the context of the European Union. His vision of a united continent, underpinned by shared Christian values, resonates with contemporary ideals of cooperation and integration. The Charlemagne Prize, established in 1950, is awarded annually to individuals or organizations that have made significant contributions to European unity, a modern reflection of the emperor's enduring influence. Ultimately, Charlemagne's legacy is multifaceted, and his reign represents a key turning point in European history. His efforts to unify a fragmented continent, revitalize learning and culture, and strengthen the Christian faith have left an indelible mark on Europe. While his empire may have been short-lived, His influence shaped the political, religious, and cultural landscape of Europe for centuries. Charlemagne remains one of the most important figures in Western history, and his legacy continues to be felt in Europe's institutions, values, and ideals today. Grandsons struggled to maintain control over the vast territory. In 843, after a series of conflicts, the Treaty of Verdun divided the empire into three parts, which eventually became the kingdoms of West Francia, France, East Francia, Germany, and Middle Francia, the Low Countries, Switzerland, and parts of Italy. These divisions set the stage for the rise of modern European states and the eventual rise of France and Germany as dominant powers in Europe. Despite the fragmentation of his empire, Charlemagne's vision for a united Christian Europe continued to influence European rulers. The idea of imperial authority, rooted in Charlemagne's reign, remained an ideal for Holy Roman emperors, even as they faced challenges from both external invaders and internal disputes. Charlemagne's legacy was further preserved by the Church, which canonized him as a saint in the 12th century, further cementing his status as a key figure in medieval Christian history. Charlemagne's reign also left an indelible mark on European law and governance. While his legal reforms were not as comprehensive as those of later rulers, his attempts to systematize laws across his empire laid the groundwork for the development of medieval legal systems. He issued numerous decrees, known as capitularies, which addressed a wide range of issues, from military service to ecclesiastical matters. These laws contributed to the development of feudalism, a system of landholding and governance that would dominate medieval Europe. In modern times, Charlemagne is remembered as a towering figure in the history of Europe, and his reign is often viewed as the high point of the early Middle Ages. His efforts to unify Europe under Christianity, along with his contributions to learning, culture, and governance, have made him a symbol of the medieval ideal of a Christian ruler. The Holy Roman Empire, though ultimately a fragmented entity, endured for centuries after his death, and his influence can still be seen in the political and cultural landscape of Europe today. In sum, Charlemagne's reign was one of extraordinary military success, political savvy, and cultural transformation. His efforts to unite Europe under Christian rule and to revive learning during a time of great uncertainty helped lay the foundations for the development of medieval European civilization. Despite the eventual fragmentation of his empire, Charlemagne's legacy lived on through the institutions he established, the reforms he implemented, and the ideals he embodied. His name remains synonymous with the idea of a united Europe, and his reign continues to be celebrated as a golden age in the history of the continent. Charlemagne's enduring legacy has influenced not only European political structures, but also the broader cultural and intellectual development of the continent. His efforts to promote education and the arts during the Carolingian Renaissance fostered a renewed interest in classical antiquity, particularly in the preservation and copying of ancient texts. Scholars at his court sought to recover the knowledge of the past and apply it to contemporary issues, ensuring the survival of ancient Greek and Roman works. This intellectual revival provided the foundation for later periods of European intellectual flourishing, including the Renaissance in the 14th and 15th centuries. Charlemagne's role in fostering religious unity within his empire is also an essential part of his legacy. By combining political power with religious authority, he reinforced the idea that kingship was divinely ordained. The close relationship between Charlemagne and the papacy helped solidify the Church's central role in European governance. The coronation of Charlemagne as Holy Roman Emperor in 800 symbolized the synthesis of Roman imperial traditions with Christian ideals, setting a precedent for later rulers in Europe. For centuries, kings and emperors in Europe would aspire to carry on his vision of a united Christian Europe, even if the empire itself would splinter in the years following his death. The division of Charlemagne's empire after his death, as seen in the Treaty of Verdun, left a complex political and cultural legacy. The partitions of the empire would eventually lead to the formation of separate kingdoms, but Charlemagne's vision of a Christian empire that united different peoples and regions continued to resonate in European politics. The historical memory of Charlemagne was often invoked by later European rulers as a model of ideal kingship and imperial unity, especially during moments of crisis or fragmentation. The Holy Roman Empire, which carried on the name and ideals of Charlemagne's empire, continued to exist in various forms until 1806. In the centuries that followed, Charlemagne became a figure of legend and myth. His reign was idealized in medieval literature and historiography, and he was often portrayed as the epitome of chivalry, a powerful and just ruler whose empire was a beacon of civilization. His figure was immortalized in works such as the Song of Roland, a heroic epic that celebrates Charlemagne's leadership and his knights' loyalty to him. His legacy was intertwined with the Christianization of Europe, and he was often seen as a protector of the faith and a key figure in the struggle against paganism. In addition to his political and religious significance, Charlemagne's legacy can be seen in the cultural institutions he helped establish. The Carolingian Renaissance that he sponsored laid the groundwork for the emergence of universities and the intellectual revival of Europe. His reign emphasized the importance of education, not just for the clergy, but for society as a whole, and many of the monasteries and cathedral schools he supported would evolve into centers of learning throughout the medieval period. These institutions helped preserve knowledge and fostered an environment of intellectual exchange that would influence future generations of thinkers, theologians, and philosophers.